Hi and welcome to this post-social podcast. In today's podcast we talk to Martin Symcox, Chief Executive Officer at Metro Blind Sports. We discuss what the charity is and also what they do for people with disability within sport, as well as his roles and responsibilities as Chief Executive Officer. Before we start, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and check the description for our Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn pages. So thank you very much, Martin, for agreeing to be here today. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you, Oliver. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thanks for being here. So before we get into the questions, could you just give us a quick summary about yourself, what your work and your interests are?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Martin Symcox. I'm CEO for Metro Blind Sport. So my background after graduating was to work within the leisure sector. So I eventually became an area manager for a leisure management contractor, and then worked in the charity sector for the Royal Life Saving Society before moving across to Metro Blind Sport, where I run a small charity that supports blind and partially sighted people to be active. I'm married and I have 2 kids, and I like to be active myself as well.
Right, very good. So you said after you studied, you did sports studies, if I'm correct.
That's right. Yeah.
So
I studied a degree in sports studies at the University of Wolverhampton. Before and then after that, I was sort of straight into the workplace. Right.
So before you did your sports studies, did you know that sport was an area you always wanted to go into?
Yeah, I've been sporty all my life. So growing up, I was a very keen footballer. I played rugby. I played hockey. I played most sports. Played cricket. So I played most sports at school and in most of in the school teams, and being part of staying involved in sport, physical activity was always something that I wanted to do from a work perspective. I didn't see myself at that time, around the age of deciding what I wanted to do at uni, as to whether I couldn't really see myself sitting behind a desk. So very much about being involved in sport in some way.
Yeah, so obviously you've carried that forward today from starting Metro Blind Sport. So what was the inspiration before creating it?
So it wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me that created Metro Blind Sport. So
my apologies there.
That's okay. I can give you a brief history if you'd like, Oliver.
Yeah, that's just as well.
Yeah, so Metro Blind Sport was started nearly 50 years ago now, and it was created by a group of blind and partially sighted people that had come out of a specialist sight loss school, where they were very much used to taking part in sports and physical activity. And they came out of that school to find that there was little or nothing that they could do that they were used to doing in terms of sport. So they decided, well, that's not what we're going to accept, and that's not what we're going to do. We're going to play sport between ourselves and set up Metro Blind Sport. And from that moment, when they started playing football between themselves and cricket, and then started playing against other people, throughout that time, they were very much the founding members were pioneers in terms of not just visually impaired sport, but disability sport more generally. And roll forward 50 years, Metro Blind Sport now is a collection of different sports, taking part in sort of have a go activities, as well as providing pathways for people to take part in regional or national competition.
Right. Well, thanks for that, for the brief history. Apologies again for getting my facts wrong a bit there.
That's all right, no problem.
Yeah. So how did the opportunity come up for you to join Metro Blind Sport?
Yeah, so I was looking for a slight change in role, more about location really, and I saw the job advertised. I saw that the charity had been established for quite a long period of time, and that they were potentially looking at doing things or looking at ways in which they could do things slightly differently. So it appealed. It was fairly local. I like working in the charitable sector. I like being able to definitely see the value of your work coming to fruition. So yes, I saw the role advertised, and I applied for that job, and that was just over three and a half years ago. And I've really enjoyed working for Metro Blind Sport, although it's been pretty tricky in the past couple of years with the pandemic, as it has been for most people.
Yeah, it definitely has. So your role at Metro Blind Sports is Chief Executive Officer. So what are your roles as part of the job title?
Yeah, so my role, I suppose, is to make sure that the charity remains viable in terms of what it's delivering, but also in terms of its financial viability. It includes everything, really. So it includes making sure that we are managing the staff in the right way, making sure that we are promoting and marketing the activities that we have. It's sourcing new opportunities for us to do so, whether that's through the sporting element or sourcing new funding in order for us to be able to deliver activity. So there's those elements of it. The safety element, of course, is there as well. But ultimately, what my role there is to do is to make sure that Metro Blind Sport continues to offer those opportunities for blind and partially sighted people to take part. That's what it's all about. It's making sure that ultimately the organisation is run in such a way that we continue on a regular basis to offer those opportunities.
Right. So you say you offer opportunities sporting wise. What are the type of things your charity holds, like events, maybe tournaments, for example?
Yeah. Okay. So on a sort of regular basis, and regular, I suppose, is a little bit of a false word. It depends on the type of sport that we're doing. It could be seasonal, or it could be every week. So activities range from athletics, bowls, cricket, cycling, dance, tennis, football, walking. So skiing as well, that we've just recently had a number of people return from a skiing trip. So our role is to organise these activities and B, finance those activities wherever we can, so that we're removing some of those barriers to people taking part. So we have regular things that are occurring all the time, but we may do some one-off activities. And that might be over just on one day, it might be over a weekend, it might be over 4 or 5 weeks. But what we've done, and one of our founding members will attest to this, is that we've probably delivered over 50 different types of sport and physical activity since we've started, ranging from dragon boat racing all the way through to skiing and walking and rugby and all things in between. But on a regular basis, those core activities that we offer are those ones I mentioned, I listed out earlier on, and some of those are just local, but some of them, what we are able to do is offer a small subsidy, so a small financial payment to our members that take part in activities outside of London, so to help with travel and accommodation. So where we've got 2 cricket teams that are taking part in a regional and national league, we're able to offer a small subsidy, a small amount of money that helps with travel costs and things like that.
Right. So going back to what you said about how your charity helps people find pathways through their sport, I guess what I'm kind of asking is there like a big name that comes to mind of someone who's come through your charity and is now maybe kind of near the top of their field, if that makes sense?
We've got several examples of members. Are these people a household name? Not necessarily. But I think it's useful to understand just what the Paralympic movement was like 50 years ago compared to what it is to what it's like now. It wasn't until recent years that the Paralympics have been run alongside or following the Olympics at the same venue. And so we have examples of Paralympians that have been Metro Blind Sport members. We've got several of our tennis players that take part in the national tennis championships, and some have represented their countries at the international tennis VI tennis tournaments. And we've got a number of cricketers that have taken part in the VI international cricket and in the Ashes equivalent. And again, we've got people that have taken part in the England VI football teams as well. So we've got several examples of where, through starting activities with Metro Blind Sport, we provided them with that platform to have a go, to gain confidence, to meet like-minded people. They've then put that time and effort in to very much go through to represent their country or indeed take part in national events.
Right. So yeah, this question kind of carries on from the one I've just answered. So obviously, what you do as a charity is you can help people with their pathway. But what else does your charity do to help promote maybe disability sports as it is?
Yeah, well, I think there's sort of two parts, I think, to that response, Oliver. Is that firstly, the work that we do to encourage people to take part in sport really becomes a platform to much wider things in terms of helping people to live with their disability. So we've again got loads of examples where people have come along to an activity with Metro Blind Sport, and that's boosted their confidence in terms of independent travel. It has helped them in terms of meeting other people, in terms of removing them from feeling isolated. It's helped them to hear stories from other people that have gone through university or have got a job or are in a relationship. So the sport becomes a bit of a platform to many other things that have helped people live with sight loss in I suppose a far more positive manner. So that's, I suppose, one element. The second element that we're involved with is to highlight the barriers that exist for people, for visually impaired people. So to try and, especially in London, and further afield, is to highlight those things that can be done that will overcome some of those barriers. For example, when email communication is sent out, is using a larger font always, as opposed to just once. That means that people that are partially sighted be able to read that content a little bit better. It's when you're designing a leisure centre, is that there's some clear colour contrast between maybe pillars that are in a reception area compared to the wall. So it's just examples like that where we use our platform, I suppose, to just showcase some of those things that would make a real difference, small things that make a real difference to a visually impaired person's life.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. That's all the questions I have for you today. It's been very, very interesting to hear from your aspect for the charity. Wish you best of luck for the rest of the year.
Yeah, thanks very much, Oliver. And if people want to understand a little bit more about what we do, then it's metroblindsport.org. There's loads of information about what we do on our websites, and we're across multiple social media channels as well. So thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right.